Stop buying those overpriced frocks for your little one when you can literally make something 10 times cuter for a fraction of the cost. I'm about to show you a crochet frock design that looks like it came straight out of a boutique. But here's the thing, most people mess up one simple step and the whole dress falls apart. Look, I've been crocheting for years now, and I can honestly say that making frocks is one of those projects that seems scary at first, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be making them for every kid in your family. Today, we're going through a complete frock design that works for toddlers and young girls, and I'm breaking down every single part so you don't waste yarn or time on something that doesn't fit right. This design has a fitted bodice, a flowy skirt, and these adorable little details that make it look way more complicated than it actually is. Here's what usually happens when people try to crochet their first frock. They find a pattern online, get super excited, buy all the yarn, and then halfway through they realize the sizing is completely off, or the bodice is too tight, or the skirt is too stiff and looks nothing like those flowy dresses you see on Instagram. I've seen people give up on dress projects because they didn't understand how to adjust for different sizes, or they couldn't figure out how to make the transition from the bodice to the skirt look smooth. And can we talk about gauge for a second? Everyone ignores gauge. They think it doesn't matter because they're just making a kid's dress, but then they end up with something that either fits a doll or looks like a tent. The number of times I've had to redo a project because I skipped the gauge swatch is embarrassing. Then there's the whole issue of choosing the right stitch pattern. You want something that has enough structure for the top part, but still has that soft, delicate look for a dress. Too tight and it's uncomfortable, too loose and it looks sloppy. Finding that balance is what makes or breaks your frock. All right, let's get into the actual design. First thing you need to know is yarn choice matters way more than you think. For a frock, you want something that's soft against the skin because kids will absolutely refuse to wear anything scratchy. I usually go with a cotton blend or a really soft acrylic. Cotton is breathable, which is perfect for warmer weather, and it holds its shape really well after washing. The weight you choose depends on the look you're going for. A sport weight or DK weight gives you a nice drape without being too heavy. Now, let's talk about the bodice construction. This is where most people panic, but stay with me. You're basically creating a fitted top that hugs the chest area. I like to start from the top down, beginning with a chain that fits around the chest measurement. You need to measure the child properly. Get the chest circumference, the length from shoulder to where you want the waist to sit, and the total length of the dress. For the bodice, I use a combination of single crochet and half double crochet stitches. Single crochet gives you that tight, structured fabric that doesn't stretch out, which is exactly what you need for the top. You'll work in rows, and here's the important part. You need to do shaping for the armholes and neckline. This means decreasing stitches at specific points to create that curved shape. Don't just crochet a straight tube and hope for the best. Actually shape it. The straps can go a few different ways. You can do thin spaghetti straps using chains and slip stitches. You can do wider straps with a few rows of single crochet, or you can do a full cap sleeve by adding short rows at the shoulder area. For this design, I'm going with medium width straps because they're comfortable and they stay in place without constantly sliding off little shoulders. Once you've got your bodice done, you need to create the waistline where you'll attach the skirt. This is that crucial transition I mentioned earlier. What I do is work one round of single crochet all the way around the bottom edge of the bodice, and this is where you'll increase your stitch count significantly. The skirt needs to be fuller than the bodice, so you're going to add stitches to create that volume. Now for the skirt portion. This is the fun part because you get to see it really come together. The skirt is worked in rounds going downward. For a really flowy, twirly skirt, you want a stitch pattern that has some airiness to it. A simple shell stitch pattern works beautifully. You're basically working groups of double crochet stitches separated by chain spaces. This creates a lacy, feminine look without being too complicated. As you work down the skirt, you'll gradually increase the circumference. Every few rounds, add some increases to make it flare out. You don't want it to increase too quickly or it'll look like a tent. Gentle increases give you that natural A-line shape that looks flattering and allows for movement. The length of the skirt is totally up to you. For a toddler, knee length is practical because they're crawling and playing. For older kids, you can go longer. Just keep working rounds until you reach your desired length. Let me talk about finishing touches, because this is what takes your frock from homemade looking to actually impressive. The edging around the neckline, armholes, and bottom of the skirt makes such a difference. A simple round of slip stitches can clean up any uneven edges, or you can do a picot edge for something a bit fancier. Picot edges are just chain 3 loops spaced evenly around, and they create these tiny decorative points. You can add embellishments if you want, a ribbon threaded through the waistline, some small crochet flowers attached to the bodice, little pearl beads sewn on, but honestly, sometimes simple is better. A well-made frock in a pretty color doesn't need a ton of extras. Here's the game changer that nobody tells you. The secret to making this frock actually wearable and not just pretty to look at is how you finish the back. You need some kind of closure system. You can't just expect a kid to squeeze into a tube of crochet. I've seen so many patterns that completely ignore this. Your options are buttons, a zipper, or ties. For buttons, you work one side of the back bodice with buttonholes, just chain spaces where the buttons will go through. The other side overlaps slightly and you sew on your buttons. This gives you adjustability and it's easy to get on and off. Ties are even simpler. You can attach ribbon or crochet chains at the back that you just tie in a bow. A zipper is the most professional looking, but it requires some sewing skills to insert it properly. The other thing that separates an okay frock from an amazing one is blocking. After you finish the whole thing, you need to wet block it. Get it damp, shape it on a flat surface, pin it to the right measurements, and let it dry completely. This evens out your stitches, opens up any lace patterns, and makes everything look so much more polished. I cannot stress this enough. Blocking is not optional if you want professional results. So, let's recap what we covered. You need the right yarn, soft and appropriate weight, start with accurate measurements, build a structured bodice using single crochet and proper shaping, create a smooth transition to the skirt with increases, work the skirt in rounds with a stitch pattern that gives you flow and movement, gradually increase for that A-line shape, add proper edging to finish all the raw edges, include a closure system on the back, and block the finished piece. This frock design is something you can customize in so many ways. Change the colors, adjust the length, use different stitch patterns for the skirt, add sleeves, make it more casual or dress it up. Once you understand the basic construction, you can make frocks for any occasion. The best part is when you see a kid wearing something you made with your own hands. They're running around, happy and comfortable in a dress that's unique and made with love. You can't buy that feeling. Plus, you'll save so much money compared to buying fancy dresses from stores, and you'll have something that actually fits perfectly because you made it to measure. If this helped you out, hit subscribe for more crochet tutorials.